Senator from Berkshire, Hampshire, and Franklin, Mr. Downing.
Madam President, and through you to the members, I'd first like to thank the senator from Suffolk for his kind words, and I think that the public employees of his district, the public employees of the Commonwealth, and the firefighters of his district specifically have a great champion for their causes, for their issues. Regretfully, I'll have to oppose his amendment, not because I believe it is brought with the wrong intentions, but because I believe that the time to act is now. I think it is absolutely clear in this pension piece that we make sure to say out loud that this is neither an attack or an admonishment of the local boards. It simply says that we can and must do better. I think it's important that we also look at what the governor proposed. The governor proposed that we would capture all boards below an 80% funded level, that we would capture all boards with a rate of return 2.25% less than the PRIT board, and that we would only look back over 5 years. Through our hearings in the Public Service Committee and negotiations with interested parties, we realized that some of those barriers might be a little bit too strict, some of those barriers might be a little bit too broad in how they defined underperforming. So we brought down the funding level to 65%. We brought down the level of the rate of return to 2.0%, and we looked back over a broader span, over 10 years. We felt that that was a better way to do things. We felt that it more strictly defined underperforming, while at the same point getting to all our common goals. Our common goals for a secure retirement for all our public employees, for a reduced reliance on property taxes, and for a better pension investment system. That's what this should be about. Not about whether or not we need more retirement boards or less retirement boards, but how we do better to ensure the retirement of all our public employees, how we do better for our taxpayers, how we do better for our cities and towns. So while I appreciate the amendment that was offered by the gentleman from Suffolk, I would hope that members would join me in opposing it.
Thank you, Madam President.
Hampshire and Franklin and Berkshire, Mr. Downing.
Madam President, through you to the members, I see no problem with the amendment offered by the gentleman from Suffolk, but I would just also point out that we are only transferring the assets of 25 of the 106 retirement boards that there are in the Commonwealth. That there have been vigorous debates both in committee and negotiations, and that it's important to remember that these 25 retirement boards alone are responsible for over $700 million that have been left on the table over the past 10 years. $700 million that either had to be raised in property taxes or in some other way. So there had to be a revenue source for that $700 million. So while I do not oppose the amendment, I do think it is important to realize that we are doing this for a reason. We are not just changing the rules of the game to change the rules of the game. We're changing the rules about how we invest because there's a better way, because we need a way to find revenues. We just talked about the budget. We know that it's a tough time. We need to find a way to get those revenues to cities and towns, and at the same point, reduce our reliance on the local property tax.
Not some of these other people. I think we, really should have an explanation from the senator from the Berkshires.
From Berkshire, Hampshire, and Franklin, Mr. Downing.
Thank you, Madam President, and I thank the distinguished minority leader for those questions. In specific reference to his question about the fact that Norman Rockwell was born in New York, being the senator closest to New York, I feel that New York from time to time needs a voice in the Massachusetts State House, and I feel that we can at least give it a little bit of one from time to time. When it comes to Norman Rockwell, a resident of Stockbridge, Massachusetts from 1953 on, I think there's no debate in this body or any other that he was the artist that best captured the spirit of America, that best captured in image the different transitions of the American spirit over the years, whether it was the four freedoms, whether it was the racial turmoil of the 60s, whether it was the special position that baseball has as the pastime of America. And I think that when you look at Norman Rockwell, you have an artist who captures the American experience in a way that each and every one of us can attach to, whether we're Democrat or Republican, whether we're independent or any other affiliation. So I think in that sense that Norman Rockwell goes beyond all the divides that we talk about and unites us. And I would also point out that Norman Rockwell knew how to do local economic development by bringing in local models to serve for his paintings, including our distinguished colleague in the other body, Representative Pignatelli, who in 1969 posed for When I'm an Astronaut, painted by Norman Rockwell, hanging in the museum in Stockbridge today. So I would hope that the body would support House 4228 to make Norman Rockwell the official artist of the Commonwealth. He's someone whose talents even I can appreciate, even though my mom was an art teacher and I have no artistic ability whatsoever. So I hope that answers the distinguished minority leader's questions, and I look forward to the minority party's support on this important measure.